Welcome back to the Football Kingdom podcast. It is week 8, and the Kansas City Chiefs and Denver Broncos game just wrapped up. Tyler and I are giving you our instant reaction of the Chiefs' second loss of the season. Chiefs drop this game to the Broncos 24-9, ending their 16-game win streak against Denver. Tyler, what in the world happened today?
I don't know. Quite honestly, this emergency pod here, because it was weird, man. The whole day, you're thinking anytime now. That's what I kept tweeting too. I was like, this is gonna be one of them times, because this is what the Chiefs always do, especially against good teams, not a terrible Broncos team, where they just go. They turn around. They get down big, usually 10 points. And I don't know. This Broncos team did not look good to me. I don't know. Yeah, the point I'm trying to make is they were going to turn this around, and they just couldn't. They kept getting in their own way. Again, pretty weird play calls at some point. Mahomes has the flu, apparently, and I don't know how much of it we can blame on him, because the defense did everything in their power to stop him. And I mean, he throws 2 interceptions and gives them pretty decent, field position. Definitely doesn't help the cause.
Yeah, 2 interceptions by Patrick Mahomes, 5 turnovers total, and if you're going to be in the negative on the turnovers, then that's usually a recipe for a loss. Just not a good game all around, and Patrick Mahomes had the flu. It sounded like multiple people might have had the flu kind of going around the team, but my thing is, if you're good enough to play, then you should make an impact. If he wasn't good, he shouldn't have been out there. Just one of those games. This reminded me a lot of the loss to the Colts last season. Just didn't play well really at all. I mean, the defense, again, like you said, it held their own, but offense just wasn't there. Didn't score a touchdown for the first time in forever. Had that big muffed punt by McCole Hardman late in the game. And honestly, just a lot to hopefully just forget and move on from this week.
Yeah, it's just, I'm not, this is not going to really change my outlook on the season or something, especially with all the flu talk. It's really not an excuse, because, as you said, they can't use that as an excuse if you're out there. But just a strange game. And honestly, the reason I don't really look too much into it is because the Broncos were 2-5. They're now 3-5. I mean, Mahomes, not a great game. 24 for 38, 240 yards. Russell Wilson was 12 for 19 and 114 yards. And they scored 24 points. All right, that's what this game was. Like, that's just a very odd, kind of wacky games. The other 2, undefeated teams a few weeks ago lost to some pretty bad teams, and the Eagles pulled out, a game against the Commanders today that, they were down pretty big as well, but they took care of business, came back, and I think made it a blowout, actually. But I don't know. That's what you thought the Chiefs were going to do, and just couldn't get it done. But I don't know. I think, what do we got? We're going to Germany next week, right? And then it's the bye week.
Yeah. Yep. Chiefs are headed to Germany to play the Miami Dolphins next week. And it's a pretty big game. Obviously, 2 best records in the AFC going toe to toe there. And then you have that bye week, and then you got to play Philadelphia. So, if they're not careful, it's possible they could be on a 3-game losing streak come Thanksgiving.
Well, again, you're right. They definitely need to be careful, but if they're as good as the Dolphins and Eagles, both of those teams have had pretty embarrassing losses as well this year. So if they are as good as those teams, We shouldn't. No one should be panicking. Like I'm sure some people are. I had a reply today on our Twitter that I mentioned one, dropped pass or something, and someone replied, "Worst offense in the league." So
Well, the stats
there's
tell you
that,
otherwise, but
right?
go
And
on.
my eyes tell me otherwise, but yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't think there's a whole lot to take away. Just yeah, I think there's just mental mistakes. The muffed punt. I was like, fair catch it, and you were like, let it go. Don't even. Why is he even attempting to catch it? And he didn't try to fair catch it. I don't believe.
No, he was ready to take that and try to make a play with it. He took his
And
eyes
he's
off
on
the
like
ball before he caught it. He was inside the 5 yard line. You got to
right.
just let that ball drop and hopefully get into the end zone. Worst case scenario, you're pinned inside the 5, but you'd rather have that than doing exactly what you did, giving the Broncos great field position for the third time at that point in the game. And that's another big takeaway for me this game is the three touchdowns, the first three touchdowns they scored. The Broncos started on the Chiefs 39, and they started at midfield, and then they started on the Kansas City 9 and capitalized on all of those plays. And, you know, defense can only do so much if that's where the drive's going to start.
Yeah, it was like I said, it was like a death by a thousand cuts because the Broncos had a couple big chunk plays and then just 1,000 like screen plays and like these, they kind of ran the ball okay, but there wasn't these big, plays that were like cutting the top off the defense or something and big mistakes. There was definitely some missed tackling today, and I don't know if there was just a better game plan at some points or they just kind of small ball him to death. But they got down the field like quite a few times. But I mean, really, when the defense you needed them the most, it's a third down sack. I mean, they had 5 sacks, I believe, and or before kind of garbage time, I think there was 5 sacks. I think there was maybe
Yeah,
one other, but
they had 6 sacks total.
right. So I don't know. It's unfortunate because as good as this defense is, this really sucks for them to go in and not even score a touchdown for them. And again, to just give them, really good field position and the defense is like, what more do you want us to do here?
Yeah, the
And then the
defense is
mental mistakes.
yeah,
Right.
defense is just begging the offense to do something. And I don't know if this is a product of they played 18 days ago, so there's a lot of familiarity there,
Right.
or what it was. And the Chiefs didn't. I mean, we would agree the Chiefs didn't play great the first time
No.
that these two teams met up. The defense played great, but the offense was left a lot to be desired. But I don't know if it's that just a really short window between appearances, or just the fact that winning streak was bound to end at some point, and it just happened to be this week.
Yeah, and that's why I was like, just not like this. You know? For that, I mean, it is a loss and that sucks, but barring that, where you're like, this is a very beatable team, and the Chiefs kind of beat themselves here. That sucks for that streak. With all that being said, is like things that don't matter. In the grand scheme of like, let's win games and win a Super Bowl for that 16 game streak against the Broncos. That we could kind of hold over the Broncos, fan base to be like, hey, we kind of got your number and we're gonna keep it. Like this kind of sucks to throw that out the window, but another just
I,
weird game, weird loss. Should have been a snow game. It would have been
yeah,
40-0.
I was kind of
But
hoping for that a little snow day,
right.
but my takeaway from this is that the Chiefs have won 16 out of the last 17 games against the Broncos. So you look at it that way, they're doing fine.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we can
um,
definitely hold our head high there.
yeah, but oh, I don't know, just frustrating because it was one of those games that I mean, you start the game with a 3-and-out and kind of like uh-oh, and which kind of brings me to my next point. Offense, obviously they're well, not, I'm sure it's going to drop after this week, but they were, top 5 in scoring heading into this week. Is it the trade deadline's Tuesday? Are we gonna get a wide receiver in here or not?
I don't know. Last I heard, they were saying they're kind of done. I think that was a Veach quote or something, but I don't know. I mean, I really wanted to before they grabbed Hardman. I was like, man, I really hope they go get a big name receiver. And then they grabbed Hardman. I'm like, man, do they still have it in them after getting him? Do they still kind of go get a big name? But I don't know. All I've kind of heard so far is they're kind of done with the trade already, but that's, I don't know. I think that's pretty early kind of news coming out. So hopefully they'll get somebody.
I think they have to think about it, especially after today. And I don't want to be overreacting here, but I mean, Sky Moore dropped a touchdown. It was Patrick Mahomes couldn't have put it in a better spot for him, and he's just kind of been disappointing all season long. I actually think if he caught that, it would have given the Chiefs a little bit of a jolt and maybe gave them a chance to actually win the football game, but there was nothing from the Chiefs after that play.
Well, going back to the Hardman muffed punt, that was a perfect time for the Chiefs again. They had so many times in this game where they could have flipped it around.
Yeah.
And just made it a game again and came back and won like they were supposed to. But it didn't happen. But yes, the Sky Moore play was super frustrating because there was 2 open receivers for the first down. That was that a 4th down or was that a 3rd down play?
It was 4th and 2. They only needed 3 yards. Went for the end zone. I'm not even mad about the decision because it was Sky Moore should have caught the ball.
That's yes. And I agree that the play, the end result is not what you want. The play from Mahomes is like, okay, but the whole day is just not, good decision making. And then you do that. I just don't know. For me, I'm like, get the first down instead of dropping a touchdown is obviously hindsight, but
I don't know. You got to catch that football.
Yeah.
Like I'm not even upset again about the decision. It's you go for the home run. It was there. Sky Moore just did what Sky Moore has done all season and be underwhelming. Yeah, I don't. Oh, it stinks, but Chiefs are 6-2, still on top of the division, still comfortably on top of the division, I will add.
Yeah. The West is theirs, and then, because I mean, even after the Eagles, it lightens up quite a bit for 5 weeks. So again, not too worried about this Broncos loss. Hopefully they can find themselves, and these illnesses will be out the door when they get to Germany and have a good game against the Dolphins.
Yeah, I think obviously biggest game of the season coming up to this point against the Dolphins. It's going to be the Chiefs offense has got to have a get right game. Clearly, I think the defense just needs to keep doing what they're doing. Special teams, I felt like they had it figured out for the last few weeks, but had the mishap with Hardman, and I don't think that'll happen again. I think that's kind of an anomaly, but
yeah, he had another punt return, which he ran backwards. I thought of you when he did that. I couldn't believe he ran back like 10 yards and got sacked or tackled, but
Yep, love when that happens.
More bad decisions on top of an already bad day.
Yeah. The not gonna have a room for many mistakes against the Dolphins next week because they have an explosive offense. They have Tyreek Hill, who is the first player to have 1,000 yards receiving at week
Yeah.
8 in the season. So
That's awesome.
clearly on pace for 2,000 plus, which is incredible. So the Chiefs secondary is going to have a tall order on their hands next week.
Yeah, even leaving out this game, this whole ever since Tyreek left, I'm like, why did he do that? It was such a dumb move. He's obviously pretty successful right now with the Dolphins, but man, Chiefs could use him, and he would just be so dangerous still with Mahomes. And I mean, as good as they are, the Chiefs, they would look so amazing with him, and still felt that was a pretty odd choice on his part. But yeah, I think that going to Germany should kind of reset this whole weird ass game, and we'll move on to Germany, as you say.
We're on to Germany. That's all I can say. And yeah, Chiefs are on to Germany next week. Play at 8:30 in the morning against the Dolphins. Then they have a bye week. Then they play Philadelphia. So a couple big games coming up. Tyler, if you don't have anything else, I think we're good to wrap this up.
Yeah, let's put this one behind them. Have a good rest of the year. And we'll talk to you probably Wednesday.